John F. Kennedy, a towering figure in American history, left an indelible mark on the nation during his presidency. However, beyond the public persona and political achievements, there were hidden aspects of his life that have remained largely unknown until now. His daughter, Caroline Kennedy, has broken her silence, unveiling shocking truths that have left the world stunned. To truly understand the significance of Caroline Kennedy's decision to speak out, we must explore the complex dynamics and deeply personal experiences that have defined her relationship with her father, John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy's presidency came to a tragic and abrupt end on November 22, 1963, in Dallas, Texas. The day began with the promise of political engagement and public support as he rode through Dealey Plaza in a motorcade, greeting the enthusiastic crowds that lined the streets. But in a matter of moments, the atmosphere shifted from celebratory to horrific. Shots rang out and chaos ensued as the president was struck by bullets. The world watched in shock and disbelief as the news of his assassination spread, marking a somber moment in American history. The image of Jacqueline Kennedy cradling her mortally wounded husband is forever etched in the collective memory, symbolizing the profound loss felt by the nation and the world. How it all started. On January 20th, 1961, Kennedy launched his presidency with a speech that would be remembered for generations. His inaugural address struck a powerful balance of hope and forewarning, cautioning America's potential enemies while calling on allies worldwide to unite against the common enemies of man: tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. This speech included one of the most iconic lines in American history. "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." However, was this iconic quote entirely Kennedy's original idea? A notebook discovered in 2011 suggests otherwise. This notebook belonged to George St. John, the former headmaster of the Choate School in Connecticut. As a teenager, Kennedy attended St. John's sermons, where the headmaster often referenced a quote from Harvard Dean Leber and Briggs: "The youth who loves his alma mater will always ask not, 'What can she do for me?' but 'What can I do for her?'" Even before Briggs' quote surfaced, author Thurston Clark noted in 2004 that St. John frequently said, "It's not what Choate does for you, but what you can do for Choate," a similarity that Choate alumni had long recognized. Inga Arvad was a striking beauty from Denmark who became a beauty queen and caught the eye of a young Kennedy. Known to him affectionately as Inga Binga and he to her as Boston Bean, their relationship was more than just a fleeting romance. Arvad, a journalist, worked alongside Kennedy's sister Kathleen and met Kennedy in 1941 while married to one of the world's wealthiest men. She was 4 years older and acted as a mentor to him, critiquing his writing, offering political advice, and providing intimate companionship. During World War II, Kennedy wrote to her, "Knowing you has been the brightest point in an already bright 26 years." But their relationship was fraught with complications. Arvad had interviewed Adolf Hitler, who praised her as a perfect example of Nordic beauty. Her close ties with the Führer and a husband suspected of being a Nazi agent led the FBI to keep her under intense surveillance, even eavesdropping on her conversations with Kennedy. Concerned about the implications of his son's involvement with a potential enemy spy, Kennedy's father intervened to end the romance. Kennedy's notorious promiscuity was legendary, so much so that venereal diseases likely feared catching him. He had a particular affinity for escorts, which posed significant challenges for his security detail. In 1997, the New York Times reported on the embarrassment and anger felt by former Secret Service agents tasked with protecting the president. The presence of numerous police officers likely made things quite awkward for the women involved. So what kept these women from revealing Kennedy's secrets? Did he buy their silence with large tips? Perhaps, but threats might have played a role as well. For instance, in 1961, After Kennedy delivered a major foreign policy speech at the University of Washington Centennial Convocation, he had an encounter with two prostitutes in an elevator. A sheriff reportedly warned the women that if word got out, they would be locked in a mental institution for life. Kennedy's taste in women also raised eyebrows. French Madame Claude alleged that Kennedy hired a Jackie Kennedy look-alike in Paris because he desired a more seductive version of his wife. He even faked a doctor's appointment to meet his idealized substitute. The 1961 Bay of Pigs invasion was a major debacle for the Kennedy administration. In this ill-fated operation, the U.S. used outdated bombers to attack Cuba, missing their targets and resulting in poor coordination that left many men captured or killed. This failure turned Fidel Castro into Kennedy's nemesis. In response, Kennedy appointed his brother, Robert, to lead Operation Mongoose, which aimed to eliminate Castro. Operation Mongoose involved a series of bizarre plots. One plan involved using Ernest Hemingway's Cuban farm in an attempt to assassinate Castro. Another idea proposed killing Castro with an exploding seashell or tampering with his diving suit, taking advantage of his love for free diving. U.S. officials even considered using pyrotechnics to trick Cubans into believing Christ had returned, hoping to spark a revolt. The CIA also sought help from the mafia and proposed offering Cubans a mere 2 cents to assassinate Castro. History is often said to be written by the winners, but in the case of the Cuban Missile Crisis, it seems the narrative was crafted by those who wrote it. For decades, Americans have viewed the crisis as a 13-day standoff initiated by an unprovoked Soviet Union placing nukes in Cuba. The story goes that Kennedy's resolve and prudence prevented a nuclear disaster. However, as The Atlantic pointed out, this narrative is misleading. Kennedy's deployment of missiles in Turkey and Italy, close to Soviet borders, and U.S. plots to eliminate Castro fueled the Cold War tensions. Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev knew the U.S. had a significantly larger nuclear arsenal. Despite claims that the U.S. forced the Soviets to remove their missiles unilaterally, Kennedy also withdrew U.S. missiles. He threatened to abandon the agreement if the Soviets disclosed this fact. Kennedy's insistence on appearing resolute became a model for future U.S. foreign policy. People often associate Kennedy with vim, vigor, and other V words like virile and venereal. But vomiting? That's one of the lesser-known symptoms of Addison's disease, an adrenal disorder that Kennedy battled throughout his life while maintaining an image of physical robustness. Biographies and medical records reveal that Kennedy faced health challenges from a young age. At age 2, he contracted scarlet fever, and by his teenage years, he was frail and chronically ill, weighing only 117 pounds at 15 due to colitis, not leukemia as doctors initially suspected. Kennedy's presidency was marked by physical pain from severe back trouble and Addison's disease, which caused infections, fatigue, joint and muscle pain, depression, skin discoloration, and various abdominal issues, including vomiting. During critical moments like the Bay of Pigs invasion and the Cuban Missile Crisis, Kennedy relied on a vast array of medications, as reported by The Atlantic. Despite his struggles, Kennedy and his family managed to keep his health issues largely hidden. However, political rivals attempted to exploit his condition. In the 1960 presidential race, Lyndon B. Johnson's aides leaked that Kennedy had Addison's disease, which was dismissed as a smear. Similarly, Richard Nixon allegedly attempted to obtain Kennedy's medical records through a break-in but failed. The Kennedy family's misfortunes extended beyond Kennedy's health. Senator Ted Kennedy once pondered if a curse plagued the Kennedys, a sentiment echoed by the mysterious death of Mary Pinchot Meyer, one of Kennedy's lesser-known mistresses. Meyer, an artist with bohemian leanings and the ex-wife of CIA officer Cord Meyer, was allegedly involved with Kennedy for years. Just weeks before his death, Kennedy wrote her a 4-page love letter that remained unsent. Almost a year after Kennedy's assassination, Meyer was murdered near the Potomac River, and her case remains unsolved. Kennedy's romantic escapades were notorious. Compared to NBA legend Wilt Chamberlain for his numerous conquests, Kennedy couldn't publicly boast about his exploits, but still left a trail of tales. Hollywood icon Marlene Dietrich described her brief encounter with Kennedy as quick and unsatisfying. He was also known for quick in-and-out meetings with paid mistresses and received low ratings from his wife Jackie, who even consulted a doctor about their intimate issues. Jackie Kennedy famously linked her husband to the Camelot myth, but behind the scenes, Kennedy indulged in debauchery, particularly when Jackie was away. He frequently skinny-dipped in the White House pool with secretaries nicknamed Fiddle and Faddle, and engaged in an affair with teenage intern Mimi Alford. Alford detailed her experiences in her memoir, revealing how Kennedy led her to his bedroom on her fourth day at work, a scenario that left her in shock. She also attended his infamous pool parties, fearing losing her White House job if she refused. What do you think about Kennedy's life? Don't forget to check out this next video